And I've been to Idaho before, and Idaho's they're more radical than people in Texas, man. They got guns everywhere. You know how gun crazy Idaho is? I think Idaho is the most gun crazy state in America. Everyone talks about Texas. People don't talk about Idaho. You haven't seen gun crazy until you've been to Idaho, man. Idaho ain't even in the South. Idaho's in the West. It's in the western part of the country. It's closer to California, and culturally speaking, Idaho is very gun crazy, very radical, very right wing. And I went to Idaho, and I'm telling you, I met a guy who had 6 kids. This dude had 5 or 6 kids, and they all had guns. All of them did. And this dude had a 50 caliber sniper rifle in his house. It was the biggest freaking rifle I've ever seen. And he said, "You want to shoot it?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So he gave me this 50 caliber rifle. The damn thing is so heavy. And he had a stand for it, a special stand so you can rest the rifle on so you can aim it more accurately. And there was a tree log that was maybe 500 feet away from us or something like that. And we shot at the log, and it was extremely accurate. We were able to hit that log numerous times. And man, when that thing fired, whoo, the punch back, man, the kickback on your shoulder was unbelievable. It was unbelievable, man. And to hold that thing and to pull that trigger, I'm not going to lie, man, it was a little bit nerve-wracking. It was a little bit nerve-wracking to fire, to pull that trigger, because you knew that there was going to be some power in that firearm. It was insane. But everyone talks about Texas being crazy. You haven't seen crazy until you've been to Idaho. And no one talks about Idaho. Everyone's talking about Texas. Everyone talks about California, New York, but no one talks about Idaho. Idaho gets no attention, but it's the craziest state in America. Idaho and Colorado, those 2 states. I think Colorado and Idaho, they got some of the... I think those 2 states have the most right-wing populations in the United States. Hardcore right-wing. And by right-wing, I'm not talking about people who just believe in family values. I'm talking about people who are libertarian to a fault. Very libertarian, very anti-government, very rebellious. They like to use religion as a veneer for their rebellious ideology, and they get a little bit too much for me sometimes. I don't, I'm not all about that revolution stuff. Not all about just starting crazy revolutions. But you have people in Colorado that's what they want to do, and it's crazy that they try to that they barred Trump from the ballot in Colorado. I mean, out of all the states you could have done that, you had to choose the craziest ass state in America. And if Trump is barred from the ballot, and the Supreme Court doesn't intervene to get rid of that, it's going to be ugly in this country. I'm telling you, it's gonna be another step to America tearing itself apart. And I'm always a little bit nervous about the future of this country. So Texas has no excuse. Idaho is bordering California and still hasn't become left-hearted. That's true. Well, the thing is that people are coming to Texas because there's a lot of economy here. There's a lot of jobs in Texas. I don't know what the job market is like in Idaho, to be honest with you. How about South Carolina? I've been to South Carolina. I was there in 2015, 14 or 15. Very conservative, although that's probably changing. But when I was there, it was very conservative, very country. And yeah, I've been to North Carolina a number of times. North Carolina is really nice. You go to Raleigh. It's a nice, clean city. It's a university city. It's the South, man. The South has its own beauty. The South has its own beauty. You go to... I remember going to... what's the name of that state? I remember going to Kentucky. Was it Kentucky or Nashville? Or Tennessee? It was either in Tennessee or it was in Kentucky, one of those. And I remember going to this small town and seeing a cafe, and they were people drinking... I think they were drinking coffee out of glass jars in this cafe. It was something I had never seen before, but you had that sort of thing. People drinking coffee in these hipster southern cafes, and then right next to the cafe is a railroad track. And I'm pretty certain I saw people drinking coffee out of jars. And they had a railroad track going right next to the cafe, right next to it. Adjacent to the cafe is this railroad track, and you're thinking, okay, this is aesthetically very, very unique, very nice. It's like something you'd see in one of those hipster magazines. It was pretty amazing.